Hey folks, so today I want to share with you what has been my main project over the last few months, my new pedal board. Now, I've built and rebuilt this board a few times over the last few months, both because I was getting new pedals as well as I've now had a chance to use it on a few gigs, like see how it worked, and I finally got to the point where I'm really thrilled with how it turned out. Now, if you just want to hear the board in action, I will have times down below where you can jump straight to the run through of the board. In putting together this board, I had a few specific things in mind that I wanted to accomplish. The first thing is, I wanted it to be a relatively small, compact board. So I went with the Creation Music Company Elevation Series version 2 board, which is 17 inches by 12.5 inches. Secondly, I wanted it to be extremely versatile, both in terms of the sounds that I had available, but also I wanted a board that was equally usable on studio as is in stage, since I spend about equal amounts of times gigging as I do in the studio. Lastly, and this plays out being useful on stage, I wanted all of my inputs and outputs on one side of the board. So you can see there I have a patch bay, which is by Creation Music Company as well, and this has my guitar input, stereo left output, stereo right output, dry output, and my power supply all on one side of the board. This makes setting up and tearing down on a gig super smooth and easy. Now, as an Americana / country guitar player, there are a few effects that I deem absolutely essential, such as transparent overdrive, tremolo, delay, reverb. So I made sure to include some of the best examples of each of those pedals in this board. So I'll now give you a quick rundown of this board, how I use the pedals, and of course, how they sound. The first thing in the chain after the patch box is the Empress Buffer Plus, which you can see here on the underside of the board. It has both an input and output buffer, as well as a boost and a few other functions. But the way that my board's wired up, I actually only end up using it as an input buffer. But I also have the TC Electronic Polytune 2 connected to the tuner output. Now, next up, I have a Dunlop mini volume pedal with a walnut pedal topper by Groundswell Pedal Boards. I use this both as my way to mute guitar on stage, but also to do some ambient swells. Next up, I have the Wampler Ego compressor. Now, I don't use this as an always-on compressor. The two main uses for this is if I'm going into a chicken picking type solo, or if I'm going to be playing slide. Next is the overdrive portion of my board, which has 3 transparent overdrives. The first is the Jackson Audio Golden Boy, which if you're interested in hearing more about it, you can check out my video about it linked down below. Next up, I have the Nobels ODR-Mini. Now this is used by many famous Nashville session guitar players such as Tom Bukovac and Guthrie Trapp, just to name a couple. And it's a super versatile, transparent overdrive, and it's also a very different flavor than the 2 Bluesbreaker style overdrives on my board. Now, next up is the Analogman Prince of Tone, a pedal that needs no introduction. This is a Bluesbreaker style pedal, and it's honestly just one of the best overdrive pedals I've ever heard and used. Now, after my drive section, my signal goes to this interface right here, which is a Goodwood Audio Audition. This allows me to patch in an extra pedal that I might need on a session or if I'm out in the store trying something out. It also allows me to use the effects loop on an amp without having to rewire my board, which is super useful. Now at this point, my signal goes to the JHS Buffered Split, which is located underneath my pedal board. This allows me to run a wet-to-dry rig if I so desire, with one end of the output going to the patch bay on the side of the board, and the other end going into my modulation effects. In my modulation section, I first have an MXR Phase 95, which is the perfect phaser for getting classic country sounds and some really great outlaw country stuff as well. Next, I have what I think might be my favorite effect of all, the Walrus Monument tremolo pedal. I primarily use the normal tremolo setting for faster tremolos and the harmonic setting for slower tremolos. The last two pedals on the board are the Empress EchoSystem and Reverb. They're the perfect pair that allow me to do any type of reverb or delay I could ever need. They're very similar to the Strymon, Big Sky, and Timeline, just in their versatility and their quality, but they have a few differences that make them unique. As well, I really like the fact that they have a much smaller footprint, which allows them to fit on my small board. And lastly, they're made in Canada, which I always like to support Canadian companies. I primarily use the clean tape setting for a slap back delay, and use the dark spring reverb setting for a little bit of reverb. Now, my entire board is powered by the Strymon Zuma power supply, which gives me all of the clean power I need for this board. Now, one of the other things that I really love having on this board is this little container right here. In it, I keep a capo, a slide, my earplugs, and a handful of picks. Pretty much anything that I might need on stage in a hurry and need to have handy, it's right here. Thank you all so much for watching my pedal board walkthrough. Hope you found it interesting, and I hope that if you're looking to put together your own Americana style pedal board, this board has given you some ideas of how you can run that. Also, if you like this video, please make sure to subscribe and hit the like button down below. Leave a comment if you have any questions. Let me know what your favorite Americana style pedals are that you can't live without. And as always, have a great day.